Good evening and welcome to round 5 of the CV-19 Sam Pearce Motorsport Clio Cup from the fabulous Spa Francorchamps circuit in Belgium. I'm your host this evening and lead commentator Paul Harvey, and once again I'm joined by the man available who is free on Saturday nights, Karl Graves. How are you doing, Karl?
Yeah, very well, Paul. Looking forward to a eventful Spa Francorchamps round.
We had a few practice races the last couple of days, and we both had a little go last night. So, what are we looking to see during this? What's the tricky parts of the circuit to be aware of?
So, yesterday, as you rightly had a fantastic little dice up last night of some two-lap races just to get into the racing around this circuit. The biggest problems yesterday were the usual through Eau Rouge and Radion, and people trying to go two abreast pretty much anywhere on cars. Cars two abreast was pretty hard. So I've just got interference with the drivers. 1 second, Paul.
So yeah, going up through Eau Rouge, if you want to take it flat, you absolutely have to be committed and have to be very delicate on the wheel. We do know that a few of the guys had a few practice races over a couple of laps last night, and the racing was very close, so hopefully they show the same level of respect as they come into the race itself. Slightly different format for you this time. Normally we have 10 minutes practice, 15 minutes qualifying and a 20-minute race, but given the fact that these cars are going to be going around in somewhere between 2:43 and 2:47 seconds on qualifying laps, 10 minutes didn't seem to be deemed long enough, so we scrapped the initial free practice and we're going straight into qualifying. So it's 25 minutes qualifying and a 20-minute race. As we follow Sam at the moment, they do go out on cold tyres and we'll be getting heat into those tyres over the first couple of laps. But the people that we are expecting to do quite well are certainly over the last couple of days. Sam Pearce, our series sponsor here, series organiser, Graham Crowhurst, who's back in the red and black livery. Hopefully he manages to get through qualifying before he rage quits this time. We hope he has a fantastic... Oh, and he's managed to clip a cone there, which seems to be right in the middle of the track, so I'm sure that's going to be taken care of by one of the other guys. Our series leader at the moment, Matt Parr, is just doing his outlap. Matt has taken 3 wins from the first 4 rounds and has been pretty good. Last week he managed to come from way back down after Alex absolutely and totally and deliberately smashed him into the wall on the way up to Druids. Took him out, but he climbed his way back up through the field to reclaim second place. So we go on board now and have a little look with our series leader, Matt Parr. As we come out of the Source hairpin, which is the first right-hander, down the hill into the famous Eau Rouge corner, but actually that's 2 parts. It's Eau Rouge at the bottom of the hill as we're coming into now. Little lift there on the way up, you can see him fighting the car, running wide, great piece of driving. And the second part of the corner at the top there is actually Radion, as we come along the Kemmel Straight, which in these Clios is quite a way down and does take some time. He's gone up into 6th. Other people tend to be in 5th. So if you look on the right hand side, you can see the gear that they're actually taking the corners in. The green line that you can just see popping up there is the throttle tracer. As the drivers apply the throttle, that goes further up, and as they touch the brakes on the left hand side, just next to the little fuel gauge there, you'll see the braking. So heavy braking.
So Paul, just
over to you, Karl.
Just a bit about the 6th gear on Kemmel. We were finding out yesterday during the testing that we were doing that the toe up Kemmel basically from the Kemmel corner down Kemmel Straight into those combs is giving around 15 mile an hour difference, and it was cutting a second off a lap. So with the toe, so you'll find that about 5 to 6 car lengths behind, you'll need the extra gear.
Well, it will be interesting to see whether or not people take advantage of that during qualifying, or whether or not they hold back and they take advantage of it in the race. Certainly in a cluster of cars, we are expecting the cars in 3rd and 4th almost hit like an overboost type facility because of the amount of benefit they're getting from that slipstream effect, and it is making a big difference to the racing. So if we've come out of the Stavelot double right-hander, we come up towards Blanchimont and continue our way along all the way up to the bus stop, which is the final left-right chicane. There's a little courtesy lift there, taking a bit of team off. It'll be interesting to see whether or not Tom Starkey, who's just in front of us, is impacting on his lap time. So 1:43, 1:44 is a good time. Down into first gear, hugging that curb on the inside. As we come across the line, Tom getting a better drive out of the corner, and indeed he puts it in with a 2:46. So a 2:46 is our target, which is pretty good, particularly as he probably has been held up. It's probably worth just having a little look there at the big ginger wrecking ball himself, Big Tom Starkey. As he comes down into Eau Rouge, the pressure of the onboard is always interesting to see. Feathers the throttle on the way in, always using a lot of curb there. Be interesting to see if he gets away with it. Down in the bottom right hand side, you will see on your race feed people who do have lap times that have been validated due to track limits, and at the moment Rob Lewis seems to have quite a lot of that coming along. So Tom didn't have such a great race last week. In fact, he was beaten by his former teammate into the last couple of corners as he was taken out at Brands Hatch. I mean, to be fair, Brands Hatch wasn't the tidiest of races that we've seen. We were expecting great things. We did have a cold tyre pitch, which was very interesting for one or two of the drivers, and it took one or two guys out that we were expecting to be at the front of the field. As we come down now into the tight left-hander, let the car drift nice and wide into the famous double left-hander that is Pouon. And Karl, is there anything we should be looking for through this corner?
So this was one of the tricky corners last night that not necessarily was where people were having issues racing, but they were losing time by just making a small mistake. Just running a little bit wide of the apex there was losing them serious amounts of time. But it looks like the Ginger Wrecking Ball has just moved over to, I believe, follow Matt through now.
Interesting. And I'm just going to go on board now with Graham. So Graham Crowhurst, who didn't have a great weekend last week, did have that cold tyre pitch, and in an absolute tantrum that befits a child, he threw his wheel down. He said, "I'm not playing unless I'm going to be at the front," and he decided to quit the game, have a beer. But he has been on the pace in practice, Karl. In practice rounds, he has been the man setting the pace. I think with a 2:43 being his best, but as he sits at the moment, it's a 2:44.4.
Yeah, we had a 2:43 from Graham and from Alex, I believe, with the toe. We also had Graham actually had a 2:52 predicted if he hit all the sectors perfectly, which obviously round Spa is a little bit tricky, especially in these cars. But I believe he's been out in his jacuzzi all weekend, so he's with a few siders. So maybe it's that's helping him out.
Yeah, well, maybe he just needed to get all of that anger out of his system. I mean, the Beast of Brands, there was much expectation on him, given all of the history that was there. We may have put him off slightly there, I'm not so sure. As he comes into the left-hander, he's losing the rear end, which will be scrubbing speed off. And what you do know about this is a fast and flowing circuit, so if you do get the car a bit loose, you do lose a lot of speed along those long straights. That last right-hander that he's just been through there, I have found that to be the tricky one for me personally, and certainly if you carry too much speed in, it will push you wide and invalidate the lap time. We also are aware of a glitch in the game, which if you do hug the pit wall on the right hand side, you do get stuck in it, which I believe you experienced yourself last night, Karl.
Yes, I did. I got stuck in the wall for about 40 seconds off the start line, mainly because I got pushed into the wall by a teammate. But you know, those things happen, don't they?
They do. as we follow Graham now, who is our provisional pole man. Still 15 minutes to go in this session, as we said. Up ahead of him is Jason Goddard of Dubai Drives, who has proven to be one of the challenges of all of the rounds so far. Passing back markers is an integral part of the racing. It happens in real life. There we go. He's just taking care of himself by the look of it, just to help out. So Graham doesn't improve. I'm being blamed for that, according to Jason. So as we go on board now with Ed, our perennial student, who keeps trying to tell us he's been doing coursework and other stuff, but we really don't believe that for 1 second. Ed and Alex have been called into question about whether or not they've been employing dirty tactics and whether or not they are the cleanest of our racers. I mean, Ed took off in one of the practice rounds on Wednesday, and I'm pretty sure he's only just about landed in time for this, because he did get a lot of air. But he does like nudging people, and we do have to be careful with that. So it's Dirty Ed and Dirty Alex. Just to run through a few of the rules and regulations, just in case you haven't joined us before. The drivers do have to have a cockpit view. So what you're seeing now is what all of our drivers do have for us. They don't have any option in that. They can just move back a little bit. Ed's chosen to be slightly further forwards than some of the other drivers. They are all manual transmission, although as you know, if you're using a wheel, which most of our drivers now are, it's flappy paddle type gearbox. You can only have a loose or stable setup. They are pre-programmed by the game. The track limits are on, and you will get penalties for track limits. So in the game, you may see one or two people having to give back places if they've overtaken inappropriately, or if anything else is like that. The spotter is on, so the car will be telling you where other people are. There is a proximity alert, and there is also a few new alerts that we put in. There's the Dirty Ed alert, which the game will inform you if Ed's anywhere near you. There's a Dirty Alex alert, which is certainly for Matt, because he was really smashed off of the straight on the way up to Druids last week. And there's also the Ginger Wrecking Ball alert, which Ron has turned on himself. And we do apologise to Jeff. We have had another message come to us by the courier pigeon Wendy Jr., and it is a note from Jeff saying that he's been waiting all this time to see whether or not his son Tom, who is BIG on the left hand side of your screen, Big Tom Starkey, has he been lying to him about all of these race wins that he's been telling him get him on the real circuits? Because as soon as he's gone on to this game, he's been nowhere. Although he did redeem himself somewhat last week, Karl, with some good drives in the Club Racing UK lobby on the Sunday evening.
Yeah, it seemed to be a very good race for him that weekend. Getting into, I believe they were in Caterhams or something, it seemed, and he seemed to do quite well. And I think it might be down to the fact that it was a bit of a demolition derby from what people have been saying.
Yeah, well, Jeff, hopefully you are listening in, and you get a chance to see Tom drive. You can see all of the skills that he's got here. I think the circuit certainly is a little bit stretched out at the moment. Someone else that we're just going to go on board with and have a little look now is Scott Thompson of the Pro-Am team. Scott has been setting some really good times on his own during the week. And he is really expecting to be challenging at the front, but it's whether or not he can translate that one lap qualifying pace, which he seems to have shown on all circuits, Karl, but whether he can translate that into a good race finish is going to be a challenge this evening, I think.
Yes, it is, and looking at it at the moment, he's actually up on his fastest lap time from the dashboard, so he looks like if he makes a little bit more time up, he could be pushing Graham for pole position.
So we see Jason's parked it just on the side of the track for a change there. Nice and tidy by Scott through here. And there are two cars in front, so it's going to be interesting to see whether or not Scott actually manages to get a bit of a tow from those two cars. It looks like Ed and probably Sam Pearce having a bit of fun along there. Whether he gets a tow from them, or whether or not they actually hinder his lap. So this could be interesting just to follow through this last little part. The very fast double left-hander carrying all the speed through here. If you take in too much curb on the inside, it can push you wide and scrub your speed here, but very nicely done by our second place man at the moment, just half a second off a provisional pole, trying to push Graham, who continues to be in P1. He's chosen second gear through that chicane, which other people have been choosing first. That's an interesting difference. And does he improve on his lap time as we come across the start-finish to complete another lap? No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't, Karl.
No, he was very close, very similar lap times, within a few tenths or a few hundredths of attempts on that one. I would imagine now, though, he should be getting a double toe through. Once he gets up onto Kemmel, he will definitely be getting a double toe at that distance. So from on board, we should be seeing him go up to sixth gear quite quickly in Kemmel and literally just reel those drivers in.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely in the zone there, isn't he? So we've got Ed in front of Sam, and Sam's playing Ed at his own game here, I think, because we know that Ed does like to sit in the slipstream and take the benefits. You can see him closing up onto his rear bumper, lights on, flashing his lights, seeing whether he can put him off. Scott does seem to have got a little bit of a pick up from there. Ed locking the tyre up on the inside as they come up into the heavy braking zone right left and into a further right once again.
So it looks like Ed has actually pulled out of giving the toe to Sam. I don't know if that's tactical or not, but he definitely didn't want to be giving them both the toe coming round to Blanchimont shortly.
And maybe this is an inside glimpse of maybe what will happen as he goes wide there. Maybe they'll have that lap time invalidated. We'll have to wait and see. But Scott, you can see the difference there. Just as Sam loses a bit of time, Scott darts round him to complete his qualifying lap. Someone we haven't seen so far this evening, Kiwi Russ, with a great podium position yet again last week at Brands, Karl.
Yes, Russ done a fantastic job last weekend. He's now actually been able to get a lap on the board, but earlier he was struggling. We've still got 4 drivers, as you can see at the bottom, that are struggling. But yes, Russ has actually got into 8th position at the moment. Somewhere that he can work on, because we know the starts here can be a very, very hard thing to get off the line, down into the source and round safely.
And these are 2 people that we're expecting to potentially see in the race here. So Kiwi Russ Harding in the white car, all white cars, but the white car with the Martini-esque livery, being followed by Dirty Alex Neville, who is currently sitting 3rd, just 0.6, and doesn't improve on his lap time as they come into the heavy braking area. Now that first turn 1, as has been the case in Formula 1, if you've seen it anyone, is going to be a tricky braking zone, Karl. There's going to be 16 Clios of similar power all arriving in a very tight hairpin all at the same time right at the start of our race, so it should be interesting.
Yes, it should be. We've seen several different lines off the start around there as well. We've had a couple of drivers that definitely look like they prefer to go straight to the inside and keep it extremely tight, with a few drivers that take it a little bit wider and to get the drive out of the corner and a higher speed through a Rouge and onto Rodillion.
So we have Kiwi Russ here at the front of our 3 cars with just 7 minutes remaining now, so probably 2, maybe 3 laps, but probably 2 laps after these ones for these guys, and going very wide there. Alex pushing hard, and just at the back there, the Ginger Wrecking Ball, Tom Starkey, also keeping an eye on these 2, just maybe picking up a few tips. It'd be interesting to see whether or not people have been practicing on their own during the week, or whether or not they have been doing other things. We certainly know that some of the guys have been putting in the laps, and lap times have been pretty impressive, to be fair.
Yes, I think one to watch at the moment is Alex. He's actually got the toe off of Kiwi Russ. No, he's just invalidated that lap by going so wide at Pilon. So both those laps will be invalidated, I'm afraid.
Yeah, as they come up to Rob the Bear, who moves out of the way very politely. I mean, I have to say that we had great expectations for last week's race. It didn't quite pan out as we expected, with lots of close racing at the front, but there were a lot of crashes, and certainly a lot happened. If anyone's seen the highlights package on the YouTube channel, there was a lot going on, and a couple of people taken out by that cold tyre glitch. But this is a track where we're probably expecting to see little clusters of groups of cars all racing hard, but maybe separating out a little bit as the race goes on.
Yeah, any driver that can get a good start and break the toe for the people behind will make a really good break into to a lead. The only thing they've got to worry about then is if the drivers behind decide to work together. We've got a roll in the background there.
It's a Rob the Bear. Yeah, Rob the Bear. Yeah. He's done well there because he's avoided the gravel somehow, which is most unusual, but he has rolled it nevertheless. If we check with our provisional pole man Graham now, Graham Crowhurst, who is a BMW Car Club champion in his own right, in his M3 in the M2 category, so I have to always try and get that right, the M2, M3. He has been on the pace and been solidly at the front all week. He is in fresh air at the moment though, so it'll be interesting to see whether or not he manages to convert that into a good lap time, because he hasn't got the benefit of any of the other cars around him as we come through the last left-hander.
We can see at the moment he's already 1.23 seconds down in the last sector. So this, I very much doubt this will be a quicker lap for him, and probably is down to not having to.
So let's have a skip down through the field and check out some people, as he's not really going to improve on his lap time. We know it's tight at the top, but it is important that we give everyone a chance. So I'd like to introduce to you Dan Underwood of the Captain Underpants team. He will be delighted that we're following him on board. Wild and there we go, wild and reckless, but we do like his style. He's prepared to take anything flat because his pedals on his steering wheel aren't particularly great. But he does pose a challenge for some of our drivers as well, because he does find moments of inspiration and he can put in some laps, and he is quick, but there's always potentially a disaster around the corner, and he does like to take a view of the scenery. Johnny T, we haven't mentioned Johnny T as we go on board with Johnny T. Johnny T drives an 850 Volvo touring car livery style. If you haven't seen it, great piece of kit. Johnny didn't actually manage to make the grid last week for whatever reason due to technical issues. He got booted off. And Johnny has been pretty solid and improving as time's gone on. So we're really looking forward to seeing him putting in a good performance. Closely followed by Night Sky Watcher, which is Nick McLeod. Nick he runs very wide there, and Rob Lewis behind him as well. So it's interesting that Rob the Bear, down in 16th place at the moment, hasn't actually set a time because of track limits infringements, I'm guessing. And we're getting feedback from the driver that he's struggling a bit. Mr. G, Jason Goddard of Dubai Drives, just to remember for everyone, he's 3 hours ahead on Dubai time, so he's finished his Zoom quiz. Probably name dropping a few people from Corrie or something like that. But he is at 11:30 PM and he's managed to get out the garage. Amanda's let him back in the house, and he's finished polishing all of his fleet of cars. Oh no, he's still in the garage, we're being told. Yeah, he's definitely still in the garage. As he likes to say, he's not necessarily here for the race, he's actually out for a drive in the woods, and we know that Dubai Drives isn't a race entity. It is actually a drive-out type arrangement in the Emirates itself. Fantastic. Oh, stuck it up the inside there, sounds interesting. Very nice. Let him through. Now, Dirty Bertie, Andy Birtwistle here in 15th place, who, just to inform everyone, was beaten earlier this week by my 5-year-old son Charlie in a 2-lap race, and that's the reason why. Look at that. That is just on cue. That's exactly what happened.
Well, we've actually got on the feed, Paul, Alex OC01 saying he's Andy's biggest fan, wishing him good luck for tonight's race. I think he's going to need a bit more than Alex's wishes to help him looking at it at the moment.
Great, and just like to say good evening to Cosy Racer Colin Tester of the Supatune Motorsport team. He's been very quiet on social media, so I'm assuming, oh, there he goes again. I'm assuming that he's selling a gearbox, 4x4 Sierra gearbox, if anyone's interested. But hopefully he's been in the garage working on that mythical Supatune Special Cosy 3-door. Oh, it's Tom, Cosy Racer. Hello, Tom, how are you? He's the one with the working Cosworth. Sorry, I got them too confused.
He's the actual Cosy Racer, Paul.
He is the genuine Cosy Racer, so we can keep that name. Rob the Bear, yet to set a time. And this is going to put him under pressure. We've got literally 30 seconds remaining. So, are you on a good lap here, Rob? Really struggling. Come back to our provisional pole man, Graham, with the 2:44.4. So not as quick as we've seen in some laps overall. But that's not a surprise given the fact that we're not in race conditions yet and we're not getting the benefit of that pack of cars drafting people along. So the Graves Motorsport guys, I mean, what have you been doing as a business at the moment, Karl, just to keep the lockdown period going for you guys?
Well, sadly, not a huge amount. Due to lockdown, we've actually have done what we need to do and locked down and keeping everyone safe and keeping everyone away from being together. We're still maintaining a bit of social media, keeping our sanity with events like this. I know my parents will be watching in, probably cheering on Alex and Kiwi Russ tonight, I would have thought. I'm about to wait to see if they actually come up with anything on the chat, but not as of yet. But yeah, we're just waiting for the new season to come along and give us an idea of when we're going to be racing. I think it's going to be a while yet, unfortunately.
Yeah, it does seem to be that way as we jump now to Scott. So the qualifying session is finished. Graham, you can see there our pole position man actually coming off the circuit just before that, and Scott does not manage, but behind him, Ed from nowhere has banged in a 2:44.3 and just knocked Graham off of pole by 0.161 seconds. And Graham has taken that in a gentlemanly fashion, as you would expect.
Yeah, that was definitely a nice congratulations there. There was no swear words at all.
It's good to see such good sportsmanship between our fellow drivers, isn't it?
Yeah, and by looks of it, he had a toe.
There is a debate, I have to say, Karl, there is a debate around whether or not Ed's employed his usual dirty tactics and has got a toe off of the car in front of him to put in that banker lap time there. So just running through where we currently sit in pole position is Ed Whitehouse, TOT, the 2:44.3, second place Graham Crowhurst with a 2:44.4, just 0.161 second behind, and very, very close to that as well, Scott in P3 with a 2:44.5. OTK Matt Parr, our series leader, in fourth, just 1 second off. Kiwi Russ being consistent as ever in P6. Sam Pearce, 2 seconds off the pace, and I'm sure he's got more in him in the race, in P7. Big Tom Starkey in P8. Dave in P9. Rob Lewis, who we didn't get a chance to see there, in P10. R32 Dan in P11. About 6 seconds down is 850. And then Night Sky Watcher Nick McLeod behind him with 9 seconds away. Mr G enjoying it and actually not bringing up the rear, 14th position, so that's a stellar performance for Mr G, 12 seconds away. Dirty Bertie, 24.8 seconds off, spends most of his time off the track. This is going to be tricky for him to put it in. It says Alex Neville has retired on my screen. I don't know what that's about.
Yeah, it looks like Alex has obviously dropped out. I'm not quite sure why. He was in 4th position. So he's fallen off of the grid. So we need to see whether that's just a matter that Alex is retired to the pit or not.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I mean, actually, if I was looking through that on the left-hand side of the screen there, Alex is showing in P4 on our screen, just 0.7 seconds off. And he had just dropped off there, so remember not to touch your return to race central because you will eject yourself.
So before we start, I just had a text message in from, I believe it must be Ed's mum. She wanted to check that he was okay, and no, this is his first trip away from Bitty. She hasn't heard from him since he left for Spa.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that he got a note. So here we go. As you'll see the word sinking come up on the screen, everyone suddenly the humour's going to die down on the chat. We just run through our series positions. Matt Parr, series leader, 93 points with 3 wins and a second place. Alex Neville in P2, hopefully has joined the grid with 65 points. Third, Scott Thompson, 42 points. Fourth, our pole sitter, who you can see there, Ed, with 40 points rather. Russell Harding in P5, Kiwi Russ, KIW on your screen, 36 points. Tom is 6th, Dave is 7th, Sam is 8th, and Rob Lewis is 9th. Graham, who is just nudged off of the pole position there on the left-hand side, returning to his traditional livery of red and black, is in 10th place, but he has had the tyre glitch and got booted out the first race and had some challenges. So a bit of a mixed season for him so far, and hopefully we're looking for a good performance today. Dan is in 11th. Johnny Tempest at 850 on your screen is 12th with 6 points. Rob Burnham, Rob the Bear, BEA with 5 points in 13. Andy Birtwistle in 14th. And Nick McLeod, Night Sky Watcher, in 15th with 3 points. And yet to open his account, but this could be the opportunity as he starts in a stunning 14th place. Jason Goddard, Mr. G, on 0 points. Nil point. Welcome, bienvenue, Eurovision, nil point.
So, Paul, yesterday we were finding that Graham was actually better from the outside on starts than necessarily on the inside. So we'll see if that carries on, because you're able to get a little bit of speed further around the corner.
As we're syncing up, and I think we're almost ready to go. And the lights are out and they're off. And it's a slow start from P3 for Scott Thompson, but our pole position man gets off, and Graham's got a good start on the outside, so it'll be interesting to drag into the first hairpin. Let's see what happens. A change of position. Is there anything going on behind? And there is a big action about, and our series leader, Matt Parr, has been taken out in that first corner incident there, as he make the first charge down to Eau Rouge. Be interesting to see if they manage to get through here. We start on wall tyres, and Alex has gone wide, and Graham's gone wide, and Ed's gone wide, which puts Russ in it, and Alex is on his roof. I mean, this is not what we were hoping, but it is kind of what we expected. So Russ has managed to get away, and dependable Dave, good old steady Dave, steady Eddie Dave is in P2, and Sam has got the draft along here as well, Karl.
Yeah, he has, and he's gone into lead, but with the tyres dropped quite rapidly sitting on the grid, so even though they go to the grid with hot tyres, they are fairly cold by the time you actually start and get round the first lap, and we're going to see a lot of this happening.
And Sam just dropped into the P1 there for a second, and unfortunately made a mistake as Dave is going into P2, and Dave's gone into the lead. So it is tight at the front.
So it looks like Alex has actually got more problems, because he's just dropping time left, right and centre. So at the moment we've got about 8 or 9 drivers moaning about the tyre glitch.
Well, we'll wait and see whether or not that turns out to be fully the case. We're not saying that it's not going to be, but Dave now is out front. Big Tom Starkey has put a move there on Russ Harding to take P2. So Jeff, and he's gone wide just as we see that. So Kiwi Russ comes back in. Sam has managed to recover in P4, get back on the track, but he does seem to be sliding around a little bit. I don't know if that's a tyre glitch or whether or not it's just some driving. So there are a few people complaining about tyres. It does seem to be.
I've got a feeling that Alex has got the glitch where he's had the accident and it just sits him on his side, because he hasn't actually moved at all until now.
And there you go, he's finally managed to get it out the wall.
I literally only just been able to move.
Dan's crawling around at not necessarily a great pace there, so, and Mr. G is wide.
It looks like yet again Matt has been the superstar lucky driver that's had an issue at the start, and then everyone else has had the problems.
And we have found a bit of an issue here. So Scott has ended up on the bonnet of Sam and has been pushed along there. I'm not really sure what's going on, and how they've ended up in that position, but it's certainly interesting to find out as we go back to the race lead. So Dave, who is pretty solid and has been out the front, not necessarily the most fast, but he's certainly managed to navigate the start of the circuit, closely followed by Big Tom Starkey, if the computer can catch up. So it is close. So Tom, racing for the G&M Motorsport team, has got a lot of pressure on him to put in a good performance after his past his verbal and first written warnings for shambles performances in the last couple of weeks. But he has got the opportunity. He's gone about his business quietly this week, and he is showing some good form here.
Yeah, he was. David last night was actually just getting quicker and quicker. I think having the track time with other drivers actually helped him out last night.
And our series leader, Matt, has managed to crawl his way back up into third place. He is Mr. Consistent. And this is this a championship drive you think we could potentially be seeing here, Karl?
Yeah, I believe so. I don't think he's got necessarily challenger two in front of him. They're not necessarily in the points with him at the moment. His nearest two competitors, which are Ed and Alex, are towards the back in 11th and 16th after the issues that they've got.
And here is the story we all wanted to see, Karl.
As well.
It's Johnny T, 850, sitting in P4. I am happy as you like to see him right at the sharp end of the grid. Johnny's been very solid and getting quicker and quicker as this series has progressed, and he's stayed out of trouble and he's managed to stay at the front. If we have a little look at Graham, we should be able to see whether or not he is having that rear tyre issue. What they're saying
yes,
is
it looks like there are out there. I'm just reading through the comments. People are actually asking about the tyres, and yes, there is that problem. Seems to be that 4 or 5 drivers, and it tends to be the 4 or 5 at the back that are having the same issues with tyres at the moment. We've got Toby Spooner asking whether there's any KA races involved. The answer is yes. Rob Lewis is out there from Club Racing UK, Toby.
And Rob Lewis is in 9th position at the moment and is making up some ground on the people in front. In fact, I think he broke his steering wheel last week with the tyre glitch. He was having that much energy going through the wheels to try and keep it, and he managed to bring it home in a reasonably high position, which seems to be coming back to Graham now.
As the tyres are starting to come in for the ones that have had problems, so we should see their lap times dropping quite quickly and them getting closer. So Graham has just gone through a Rouge and Rodillion flat out for the first time on this race, and normally that is flat out from the first lap in a race. So I would suggest that the tyres are coming back into Graham. He's now 25 seconds off of the lead. He's got about 6 laps, and so he should be getting a bit close to it. I don't think, unless there's some major issues ahead of him, he's going to really catch up to the top 3. He'll be aiming for the top 5 finish, I would have thought.
Yeah, well, it's now the race is on, I think, so it's a shame. I mean, you can see straight away Ed's already 3 seconds up on his previous best lap time. And he is chasing down Scott, who is 1 position in front of him, just up the road. Rob Lewis there as well. Graham is now coming along into the fast bit, so this is a great test to see whether or not he is experiencing that tyre problems. Someone's asking, they hope that Alex drives his Mini better than he does the Clio. Basically, you see, as Rob the Bear's gone wide there.
Paul, that someone will be my dad putting the stir in there for sure. I haven't even had to look at it, but I've now looked at the name. I'm pretty certain it is, yes.
They all do seem to be having a bit of trouble, so I guess the best thing to do is to go back to the top of the grid and just see how it's shaping up at the front. So Dave's still out front. First time he's led any of the races this series. So he's been leading pretty much, has he? As Jason wants a quick screenshot of himself getting up close behind Sam. Just to let you know, Jason's not having any car trouble. He is just that slow. And another complimentary positive comment from one of his co-drivers there about his loft problem. 850 is there, but Matt is looking to push. Is he looking to push for P2? So this could be interesting as we come up with our second and third place man, Big Tom Starkey, the ginger wrecking ball in the white car with red and black, followed by our series leader Matt, who's been consistent again in the green livery car. Will he get the draft and tow down the straight, do we think?
They should get the tow down. We've gone off of that view, Paul, somehow. But yes, he should get the tow down there. He should be getting a good 10 mile an hour clear of the ginger wrecking ball. Let's just see if we can keep him out of the braking zone, which he's been able to do. So we're looking down. You've got Graham at the moment that had made up about 3 seconds in that previous lap, but he seems to have dropped it back from the lead again. So he's going to be coming back up onto...
We can see here now Matt's really starting to push hard to try and get into that second place. It'd be interesting to see whether or not he tries to protect his current series lead and championship lead, or whether or not he pushes hard, as Tom seems to have gapped him a little bit there coming out of the left-hander. I mean, what would you be doing, Karl? Would you be thinking championship at this point, or has he got such a comfortable lead that he might as well just send it?
I would be thinking championship. It's a long term. All the other drivers are telling him to send it at this moment in time, which probably suggests what Matt should actually be doing is not send it. Apart from Graham, who actually wants Matt to be sent by someone, but it does look like Matt's dropped back there. Another second or so off of the ginger wrecking ball, so maybe he's just taking that on and thinking get the points in the bag, and a podium finish is still going to be a huge point gain on Alex and Scott. Yeah, but the challenge is here really, Karl, is do you want to be remembered as a man who didn't want to stick it on the ginger wrecking ball? I mean, he has had opportunities in the past, and we know that Alex was really naughty with him last week, and he managed to come back in, but he has has potentially been the cleanest racer that we've had so far. A message from Reggie to Jason. Sorry, is Mr. G struggling to acclimatise to the Spa weather from his usual in Dubai heat? Just evening, Amanda. Hope you're doing well. Oh, and he seems to have just clumped the wall on the inside there, which has given him an opportunity to get away. Now, Kiwi Russ is just on his own. He's having a little bit of a fresh air race down the back, and the field is starting to get a bit spread out. But if we jump on board with Graham, who is gradually working his way back up through the field in P7, 23 seconds off the lead, which I think he's going to be struggling to overcome in the next 8 minutes, which is how much of this race we have left. We're over halfway already, but he comes behind Nick McLeod, Night Sky Watcher in front of him as we follow him on board. Yes, so with Graham, I believe looking at the lap times that are going through, he'll be trying to push Nick. Now that he's made a mistake, he's not going to get the toe up Nick, but he's got to be careful Nick doesn't have an issue coming through. But he's got the pull on him, and he's now going to be hunting down Johnny, which is 8:50 on the screen, and you're looking at 6.5 seconds difference between those. 3 laps to go, so it's quite a possibility towards the end of this and down to the final lap we could see a race for 5th. Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see whether or not he manages to do that, but we are seeing the sort of drive that we thought he was going to have. It's just a shame that he just seems to have had that little issue early on. If we just scoot through the field now, just have a little look, see how Scott's getting on. So Scott and Ed, who we were expecting to see running at the start of this at the front of the field, are actually down in P8 and P9, and they've got the lap time, and I'm expecting them to probably make up the time to the car in front, but Graham's in front of them again. Graham is 3 seconds behind Johnny T, so Johnny's still doing a good job in 5th place. 3 seconds. It'd be interesting to see how long it takes him to make up this time, if indeed he can make up time, as Nick in the background just gets a little bit loose but collects it up quite nicely. So Graham is getting closer to Johnny so far. I do think that Kiwi Russ is a little bit too far away, being 13 seconds ahead, but we've got just over probably 3 laps that are going to fit in to carry on this race at the moment. So it is quite possible that it could happen. Graham just needs to keep his head down and get into that tow.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see whether or not he can. I think Russ is too far away, 7 seconds off. But if we just go to the front now, so Big Tom Starkey is really, really close to P1, followed very closely by Matt. So it's getting close at the front. He looks to have a little look up the inside, locks it inside wheel. He takes a great line through there, closes up the gap. So this is our P1, P2 and P3 in the race in real time. These are real people in their houses with their wheel sets. Some of them have got really expensive ones and some of them haven't. But Dave is still holding at the front, and I have a sneaky suspicion that our P3 series leader is not going to be letting this one go by any stretch of the imagination.
No, not at all. And I think the on board we're going to see the actual toe down into those corners make this a lot closer into that corner. So it'll be interesting on board to see who makes any moves. It looks like Tom is.
And Tom stuffed it up the inside. Is he going to manage to stop the car and send it? And he has. That's a fantastic move there. So Dave has been compromised through that move as well a little bit, and he's fighting back, so this is really close. And he's just jumped wide there. Let's bring it back into the apex. And it's going to be all the way to the flag, I think, this, unless one of our lead 3 makes a mistake. We are hearing that Dave does have a 1 second penalty, so if it stays as it is on the track with our series champion and series leader in the P3 position within 1 second, then he will actually inherit that P2 position, taking further points and probably extending his lead even further. Alex has managed to claw his way back up to 14th, but at the front, the big ginger wrecking ball himself, Tom Starkey, has got, and he's gone wide. Dave's gone wide there, and that's allowed Matt to get past and take that P2 outright. So as we go past Andy, who's yet again taking a trip across the greenery. So it'll be interesting now to see whether or not our P2 position and series leader Matt Parr, who races in this Castle Series Championship, and he's a champion there in his 106, which is a bit of a piece of kit if you've ever seen it. He's going to see whether or not he's going to chase down our P1 man, Big Tom Starkey.
And looking at the lap time, Paul, time remaining, we're going to have 2 more laps. We are going to get 2 more laps in from where they are on the circuit, just coming into the bus stop.
So yeah, so it is interesting. So they are going to get this lap and one other. I think you're right there, Karl. So 2 laps and 2 very long laps with lots of opportunities to make mistakes, but he does have quite a nice comfortable cushion there, Tom. He is used to leading. He has won in track day championship and track day trophy races in real life, so he's not afraid of being at the front, and certainly given what's gone on in the background, it's probably one of the best places to be on the track. So 2 more laps to see whether or not Matt can close this gap, and Eau Rouge will be interested to see whether they both stay flat and keep through there. This is a tricky part of the circuit. Safety navigated by both.
Tom is bringing his form in from last week's race with the Club Racing UK Forum into today's race.
But we are going to see whether or not Matt's going to get that draft as he comes down onto the. Is there going to be his contact between the 2 of them? Oh. And he's pushed Tom off.
We could find that due to that, Matt may have to give the position back. So we will see whether that comes in.
And Tom's now recovering back into P3. He's not actually talking to us on the microphone because he's concentrating hard, but there may be a little bit of a steward's inquiry there. I mean, we are the clerk of the course, Karl. We will accept any appeals about driving standards, and we will take that under consideration with our organiser, Sam Pearce, so feel free to make a protest.
We certainly will. With the fee involved, I believe it's £150 shared equally.
Equally, yep, that'll do.
That's yep.
Cash, of course.
Well, I wouldn't admit cash live on a feed there, Paul. But you know,
cash is an available payment method. Of course, we would never advocate purely taking cash.
We do take card also.
Just wonder which one of us got a bend forwards. So championship leader Matt has managed to knock off the Ginger Wrecking Ball himself. So now Tom has actually experienced what it's like to be on the receiving end of some of his driving. But Dave has recovered back into P2.
This is Matt again. That was had an incident on the first corner. Was pushed down to 16th. Through some great driving, some good lap times, has brought himself back into to win this race with 1 lap to go.
And Kiwi Russ is having a little look at Big Tom Starkey. This is very interesting. Kiwi Russ has gone wide. He's dropped a wheel on the grass and he's collected it up. That's actually not a bad piece of recovery driving there. Here we go into the last bit, but that may just give Big Tom Starkey the breathing space that he wants in P3. Graham's clawed his way back up to 5th with a stellar drive there, Karl.
Yeah, it's been a great drive from Graham. Unfortunately, with the tyre issues he had in the first lap problems, but coming back into it, and it will set him up for the second race into a really good position on the grid.
And the only other battle that we see in any description on the track is 7th, 8th and 9th position. So this is our battle on track. So Ed in the white and purple car, who currently sits in 7th, Scott in the blue car, who's just managed to stick that move on Nick McLeod in the silver car with the greeny Patronus green, I guess that is livery there as well, as they come up through Eau Rouge for the final time, as the stopwatch has been completed, all negotiated safely. So let's follow our lead man as he completes the final part of this race, and it does look like he's going to take another win, Karl, and extend his championship lead probably into position that is going to really make it very hard for anyone else to catch him now.
Yeah, it has, and I think it's been a great race for him to increase that lead, especially with Scott, who's in 7th place and currently 3rd in the championship, and his closest rival Alex, who has remarkably come back well from 12th, but at one point was over 2 minutes down on the lead car.
Yeah,
so
he's done really well, and the only
he has been fighting back.
Yeah, and as we see Kiwi Russ, so Kiwi Russ isn't giving up. He fancies a bit of Big Tom Starkey as well, and he's going to stick it up the inside here, and he's just come across the front of him. So this is going to be interesting. I think the only real opportunity now for a move is going to be down into the final chicane as we follow our leader Matt Parr as he comes down. Dave's going to go.
Russ will have the tow here, so Russ will actually be carrying more speed into the bus stop.
So Dave's in fresh air, so it does look like if he can get through that final chicane, he is going to retain that second place. But it is Kiwi Russ in the Martini-style livery car trying to have a go, and he's going to take it up the inside. Is he going to get the car stopped? No, they've both gone wide, and he hasn't managed to make that move stick. And Big Tom Starkey has held on to P3, which was unfortunate there because he was leading. I think there will be a referral up to the stewards. Kiwi Russ follows the line in 4th, and just a little bit of action further down here between Ed in the purple car, Scott in the blue car. Battling for the minor places now, but racing's racing. No mistake from Ed. Great line in there from Scott, but I don't think he's going to be able to drag him out. So Ed will take that 6th position, followed by Scott in 7th, as Nick crosses the line in 8th. And in 9th place, getting more points, Johnny T. In 10th, Sam Pearce, who appears to have had a few issues, including another car on his bonnet at one point, Karl, which is not what you see every day, is it?
No, he's had a lot of issues this race, and again, I believe it was the tyres again that have hindered Sam, because he was showing great pace pre the start of this.
And Rob Lewis also really, we expected him to be nearer to the front, but I don't know if he's had the same problem as well. But he is down in 11th position. Alex recovered to 12th, but I don't think he's going to be able to improve on that P12 position. And Rob the Bear, Rob Burnham, and Mr. G. Oh, Mr. G has ended up on his roof on the last lap, just for good measure. As soon as we... And Dan, yeah. And there's no surprise that the two that are in the wall are the ones that are down the back of the field.
It does strike again. As soon as you go onto the in-car camera, they tend to bin it for you.
It's the pressure of the in-car. I mean, the fact that they know that we're watching them as well. It's always very strange. Alex has crossed the line now in P12. Rob the Bear in P13. 14th at R32, which is Dan Underwood of the Captain Underpants team. But yet again, our series leader has turned a very challenging first lap into outright win with a 2:48 best time as well. So the race time was a little bit slower than the qualifying time. Is Matt Parr, closely followed by Dave of the Northern Monkies team. A great drive and his first podium of the series, I believe. Big Tom Starkey recovering there. I'm sure he wants to make a steward's inquiry so that is reviewed by the stewards. Kiwi Russ, who tried it into the last corner, didn't manage to make it stick, but he did really well. And Graham, who's showing great pace there with a 2:46.7. Ed, P6 with a 2:47. And Scott actually having the best time on 2:47.1. Yeah, so Ed doing the fastest lap of the race there with a 2:45.5, and Graham doing a 2:45.6. So Matt P1, Dave P2, Big Tom Starkey P3, Kiwi Russ P4, Graham P5, Ed P6 to the Brattonville, Scott from Pro-Am Racing in 7th, Nick in 8th, Johnny T in 9th, and rounding out our top 10 and our point scorers are Sam Pearce, our series organiser, and podium positions there that we see. As we look at our championship now, and a massive lead on 118 points. Matt Parr is now nearly 60 points in front of anyone else. It's 50 odd, with Alex in P2. Final podium position. Alex in P2. But it is getting close there because we have three drivers in 3rd, 4th and 5th to the Brattonville Pro-Am Racing and Kiwi Russ all on 48 points. And Dave, after that great solid performance this evening, coming up into 40. Big Tom Starkey with 39 and Graham getting some solid points again in 27. So it's been an interesting race. It wasn't perhaps as close as we thought, and maybe ruined again by that tyre glitch, which is proving a bit of an issue, and the drivers obviously are rightly not happy about it. But do you have any thoughts about this just as we sign off?
Yeah, I think you're looking at the top three now being very open for the 2nd and 3rd, and I think the next race meeting we go to Silverstone, and it will be as tight as it has been so far. So yes, it will be. It's Silverstone International, which is the other part of the circuit that because we can't afford all the circuit in one go, so we split it into two halves. We have gone to Silverstone National earlier, and as International is next week's race. Hopefully we won't get the tyre glitch. Thank you all for following, and welcome to join us next week at the same time, 8 PM. Thanks a lot and stay safe. Thank you.